Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Tarot card 7 of Pentacles. Of the 36 deacons of the zodiac, this is the ruler of unconsummated success, success unfulfilled, who is Lord from the 20th to 30th degree of Saturn within Taurus. I call this the can you bring it off, or the survive, stand, and deliver card, because this is a card of failure. This is a no card, and it does depend on the ability to perform and execute, but that also still will not lead to success in an endeavor with the Seven of Pentacles. You'll see a lot of non-esoterically trained, non-formally trained tarot readers that are getting their information from ill-informed books or other tarot readers from the internet, not necessarily from ancient mystery schools of wisdom, who will tell you that the Seven of Pentacles has to do with being very patient or very diligent. That's because they're looking at the face of this card and they're not looking at the deeper, secret, occulted implications. And then they're just passing that information forward over and over again. The Seven of Pentacles upright is never good. It isn't. Sometimes things aren't good, and in this Earth card, they just aren't good. You have to remember the 4 sevens of the minor arcana speak to us of Netzach within that tree of life. So while the Earth Pentacle comes to us from the temporal, from the material plane, the sevens tend to transcend the material. So this is a card of the earth lifted if it could be. It's power and force that can ascend and hold sway. Yes, that's what the sevens are. But only if there is a hand on the plane of earthly existence to wield that power. And as you can see in this card, that power isn't being taken in hand. With the sevens, we always see result, but the result, for good or ill, is dependent on the actions being taken. Again, here, no action being taken. I could tell you, it is sort of a public knowledge secret of the Seven of Pentacles for every tarot reader who tell you that somehow it's good or can be managed. Within the Rider-Waite Tarot, which is what I'm using in this specific playlist for the imagery of the tarot cards themselves, the artist Pamela used the potato famine of Ireland as her inspiration for this card. So if you're looking at this card and thinking, this is someone who's about to reap all this fruit, no, look again. That isn't what's being shown. There are no flowers here. There is no fruit here. The pentacle is in the dirt. And the other pentacles are unharvested, still on the limb. So this is not, oh, look at all the fruit that's about to be taken up. This is a card of blight. Look at the pentacles left on the vine. They are unfulfilled, unclaimed by the labor that this individual has not or will not undertake. And the reason for that could be because there's nothing to harvest. The promise of great success does lie just there, right? The land was tilled and sown, it grew, and now it's useless. It's there. It's just at their feet waiting to be possessed, but the harvester cannot effectively carry out the collection and use of the resource. So an inability thus far to carry through on the task at hand leaves the success unfulfilled. You have to notice that empty but calm sky. And remember the symbolic meaning of the blue. The almost forlorn apathy on the reaper's face. There's just a whole lot of nothing going on here. And not in a good way. Does this person look satisfied to you? Of course not. But they're also, for whatever reason, not willing to do the task at hand in order to achieve victory gains. It can't be accomplished. Sometimes we think we are about to receive, about to be gifted, about to inherit maybe, or have been conditioned to an expectation of a great gift or reward that is suddenly, through a lack of force, yours or uncontrolled others, lost. So we have this expectation and then it's right there and it isn't fulfilled. This is definitely the card of things promised yet left unrealized. And there is disappointment in that. It isn't pleasant to have our hopes crushed or to be led falsely into believing an outcome is so assured that we can practically taste it before finding out that we do not have it and may not ever have it. There are larger implications here as well. This is a laborer who shows no perseverance. This is a land worker who has all the profit at hand, but is still woefully unhappy. That lack of perseverance could be because they're tired. Maybe they are distracted by physical exhaustion, which keeps them from being able to harvest what might have been brought forth. Or maybe it's a fear of delusional or illusional uncertainty. They're afraid, they're uncertain. Maybe they don't want to work because the work isn't for their gain. Look at the clothing. This is a day laborer. This is a land laborer. Their clothing is of poor make. This isn't a natural steward of a forest, a rich noble. This is very clear that the person here is expected to work, but they do not. Sometimes enslavement is whispered of in the Seven of Stars, where promised coins never manage to go into the correct pocket. They never manage to alleviate misery, poverty, debasement. And only ever managing to survive is the individual's main goal. Survival necessity for survival's sake alone. Nutsack of He shows up for me quite often with part-time workers who work very hard or multiple jobs, or work full-time jobs but they're only paid part-time split shift wages, or querents who are never paid high enough wages for the work they do, or whose work hours are ridiculously unreasonable for what they receive in exchange for all their efforts. Because this is a card all about being employed, but always unprofitably. This isn't a person who's happy at work. This isn't a person who feels good and satisfied, although they do likely work outside to some extent. This is an individual who's sown and diligently grown their resource, but now cannot or do not reap it. And that's a card of resource famine, to be sure. I mean, this is the loser. So what to do with the Seven of Coins? Look to your long-term goals and be mindful of them. You have to bear them in mind despite what's going on. Bear them in mind as you seek to fulfill lesser or more immediate tasks at hand, which you may wish to avoid. If you take action, if you do use your abilities, your talents, you still might not harvest anything. But you can and will affect change internally, which will help you carry off larger goals not connected to what you're currently doing. And if you're facing disappointment, do not let it hold you back or weigh you down too long. Dejection, depression, much like a virus, it can grow when fed energy, and it will begin to influence everything else around it. We don't always get what was promised, and we don't always receive what we ought to. Rather than just give in and give up, stand and deliver. And by that, I don't mean work harder. I mean, keep your head up, understand that this happens. Fine, that last speculative stock, it didn't do well. All signs pointed to it blowing up overnight. Maybe it was Tesla, right? But then it suddenly didn't because Elon Musk moved his money into Bitcoin. I don't know. But get over it. So it was speculative. It didn't blow up the way you knew it was going to, and you lost. So what? Move on. You made a small investment that didn't increase much. Maybe that's what happened. You were expecting an investment to keep snowballing like you wanted, and all expectations were that it would. There's no reason it shouldn't have, but it didn't. Okay, stop sulking and cut bait. The success wasn't as big as you wanted. Go look for the next. You thought you were going to get the big promotion that you've been working so hard for. You did everything that was asked of you and more. You did everything right, and you were told you were going to get the job. And then it went to somebody else, and you just got a lateral transfer. Sitting at your desk, feeling sorry for yourself, won't put you at the top of the list for the next opportunity. I'm not saying work harder at what you're currently doing. I'm not saying this should have happened to you. But moping about it is only going to hurt you worse than you're already hurting. Chin up and back at it. And maybe stop, pushing that pencil around at that unfulfilling desk job where you don't get paid enough. Maybe stop plowing around uselessly in someone else's low-paying dirt. Stand tall, look to what you can do well, and own the heck out of it, right? Don't be dejected. Don't make yourself smaller. Your great abilities have great worth. And when you realize it, others will as well. Moping, sulking, not going to improve anything. Persevere, yes. But not because this is a card of patience and perseverance and it's going to pay off. Be persistent because it's required for long-term success that has nothing to do with the current tribulations you're going through. What you can get out of these challenges now is learning how to deal with them. Plan and work now for the better future internally and for the next possible success that isn't even yet on the horizon. The Seven of Pentacles reversed. So, again, we started with a negation card, a card of loss, right? Of you're about to receive all these wonderful things, and no, you didn't. And here in the reversal, it only actually gets worse. Here we find large debts, absolute unemployment, no gains, or even the possibility of them. So this isn't just a potato famine. This is there were never any potatoes to plant in the first place. Are you even still alive? Feelings of unworthiness tend to dominate, leaving you with little more than the constant task of trying to prove yourself to others. It's very time-consuming and will never render up good results. You aren't being enterprising or persistent. You might be being lazy. You aren't even willing to shift a bit to help yourself. Not anymore. And that's not awesome. You feel perhaps detached or have the beginnings of, an emotional disorder starting to tug at the shadowy edges of your awareness. Your distrust of others seems very well warranted and rational since they have pulled the rug out from under you time and again, have deceived you or taken advantage of your constant work ethic, your constant commitment, expectations that you put your trust into only to have them taken away. You may be feeling an inability to bond much at all at this point with projects, with people. Finances are bad. Business is likely down. Nothing grows. And all your effort, if you make any, seems a waste. All of this contributes to your current lack of seeing a brighter horizon or of having the vision to have a long-term vision for the future. It's hard to see dawn on the horizon when you are so focused at staring at your own feet in the dark. So what to do with the Seven of Pentacles reversed? First of all, don't go making any huge investments, in resources of time and energy, big obligations to others just now. you aren't in the emotional mental space for it, and you haven't yet cultivated the balance in yourself to manage your affairs well. So making big, huge decisions, not a great time for that. It's difficult to manage even yourself when everything is so draining, looks so bleak and pointless. It's not like you can just put a happy spin on this. There is a lack of reward, and it's possible that you've become completely distracted from effort at all because it's never rewarded. Don't judge yourself. Just be gentle with yourself and be honest. You need a minute. You need a moment to collect, to stand back and gather yourself before you can even begin to envision an optimistic spin on this or a new goal or a brighter future. Take that minute to collect yourself and seek the internal balance that will give you the energy you need to begin again. Not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone else, not because you're trying to get anywhere, but because you love yourself and you want to give back to yourself. And don't go looking for resource help here from external sources. You aren't likely to find any, especially financially. Look within and look deeper. This is a dumpster fire that you're going through. Whatever the situation, the prospect, the relationship, the career move, it's a dead horse. So stop hanging out near the rotting carcass, right? Stop weeping over those remains and walk on. And know that sometimes the laziness, which suggests itself in this card, isn't really laziness, but instead is a cornerstone of a larger depression that's manifesting and being mislabeled as laziness. That what's going on could be that you're seeking to shelter and numb yourself from the trials and pain of the world. If you don't make an effort, your efforts can't fail. And there's a numbness in that. There's a aptitude for self-protection. You may have to wait quite a while for things to get better. You definitely are not going to see sudden returns overnight. Working harder is not going to make that happen. And the Seven of Pentacles reversed usually requires far more patience than most people have when it comes to success fulfillment. If you try to wait this out, you're going to be the 1 in a million who can pull it off. And it's okay to not be the 1 in a million, to realize that this requires more patience than you can reasonably require of yourself. Not everything has to be a raging success. Sometimes things fall through in the worst way. Sometimes things just don't work out. Knowing that, addressing it, acknowledging it, and walking away might be the best course of action here, right? It could be because of a lack of work on your part or entirely beyond your control. It doesn't really matter. So why judge yourself for it? Just be okay. Sometimes things don't work out. Don't double down, though, and keep expecting miraculous improvement somehow. Things aren't going well, right? Your mental, emotional state needs you to care for it first, especially in the hard times. You need to put in the effort of love, care, and grace towards yourself. Put your energy there, especially when things aren't going well, right? When things aren't going well is not the time to expect yourself to work harder or be better. When things aren't going well is the time to take the extra long bath and relax and tell yourself that it is important that you allow yourself to relax and heal. The dawn will come again. Love yourself and learn to appreciate the challenges before you until it does. Not because you can overcome them, but only because appreciating them for what they are, that's your only option right now. Stop struggling and reevaluate. Then Then later, either regroup and start over from the beginning, or just move the heck on. Until next time.